There were times where I literally had to put her in her bed, close the door, go outside into the backyard just to not hear the crying. That period made me feel kind of like a failure. I'm 19, I'm scared to death. And sure enough, it was positive, and I just said, we're pregnant. And you just said, we're fine. It's fine. We're going to be fine.
Was there ever a doubt that I would leave?
Since the day you asked me to date you, it's never once entered my mind that you would leave. Ever. We're talking lifting up the seats in the car to find all the change and any money that has fallen in there so that we can get some formula. It's about making the hot dog look really cool on top of the mac and cheese. It's the first time, and probably the only time, that you weren't able to help. A nurse comes in, we can't do the surgery. You're pregnant. There's arms, legs, head. I was 14 weeks pregnant and had no idea.
We went there thinking
we were done.
We were done not having kids. We have 4. We're cool. To leaving there with one. Without one, you don't have a model. So you have a vision of what you think a good dad would be. But that vision probably isn't the right one, right? If I would have had a father in my life, would my fathering be different? But I'll never know.
They will always look at you first. You are their safe place. You're their rock. Are they good people? Are they kind to others? Anytime someone has told me, you have a great kid, that's it for me.
There was a time when all of them were here.
Oh.
At once.
I think I hate that I didn't appreciate that enough.
They didn't know if we had $1 or $1 million. Welcome back to another episode of Estradanary Conversations. I'm Ruben Estrada.
I'm Tiana Estrada.
And we are talking about what?
We are talking about our parenting journey today.
Oh,
that's at the top of the list usually when people have questions for us. It's followed by, you have how many kids? And then how do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very common question that we get asked. And then when we tell them the number, which is 5 kiddos, what kind of response do we get? Like, oh, that's a lot of kids. Usually?
Yeah, or there's some people who have like, you know how that happens, right? That comment we get a lot, which obviously we know. And yeah, mostly it's just shock, I think, because you don't see a lot of families that big anymore.
Well, it's not that big of a number, I don't think. I mean,
well, do you know anybody else that has, well, I mean, Jonathan's family, he has 7 siblings and.
No, but I mean, relatively, like 3 and 4 kids is pretty common.
Not anymore.
Well, I mean, I think we run into families that are, it's not unusual.
Well, I think it's interesting that you bring that up and you look over time, right? Because we unfortunately have had to go to multiple funerals in the past week, and both of the sweet gentlemen that have passed away one had 11 siblings, the other one had 9 siblings. And so as you go through the decades and you go through the generations, I feel like that number is going down. And so I think that's why people have so many questions for us about it, because it is rare this day and age.
Yeah, I think it was, not too long ago, back in the day, the baby boomer generation was probably the last generation to have, 7, 8, 9 kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we do know some families that have, 10 plus kids.
Yeah.
So, in our circle, it's not as unusual, but I could see, when people come up to us and they're like, you have 5 kids, they're a little taken aback. So, yeah.
For sure. So we're going to go through just a couple points to kind of talk about our experience with parenthood and what that journey has looked like and where it has led us and where we're going.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you want this many kids?
It's funny. We've talked about this before. So I remember during our first dance at our wedding, you and I knew we wanted to have a family. We knew we wanted to have kids, but I don't think we ever sat down and just had a specific conversation about what that looked like and what our goal was for the amount of kids and all those things. But I do remember during our first dance, you had said that you wanted 10 kids, to which I just kept dancing. Didn't know how I felt about that. And then after we had our first, that number quickly changed for you. Not that you took it down, but I think you were just like, okay, maybe not 10. But then we just always knew however many we were meant to have, we would have. And so that's just, and as we get through this conversation and our journey, we will see that that's exactly how it turned out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was just wondering if that's, you were on the same page. Not really. I mean, you were like,
because we didn't really have a page. We didn't have a specific page that we just said, okay, we want to have 4 kids, 2 girls, 2 boys, or we just knew we wanted to have kids. I had no idea what that number would look like.
Why was it important to you to have kids? Multiple kids, not one and done.
Yeah. Well, so I'm an only child, and I think that was big for me. Obviously, I have some very, very close cousins who are as close to me as siblings as I can have, and we have some very dear family members that, for all intents and purposes, are my siblings. But growing up, I was a single child, and so there was a piece of me that wanted the sibling and someone who goes through everything with you. And so I knew that was a gift that I wanted my kids to have. I wanted them to experience that and have all of that, because I didn't. So that was a piece of it. And the other piece of it was, I just knew, like when we got married, I just knew that the level of connection that you and I had, I wanted to have something that would grow in that and outlive us. I wanted whatever love we had or whatever connection we created to continue to, live on past just us. And so I think that was another big reason.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it's important for us to understand our past and how we were brought up. Because I think that helped form some of the ideas we had about parenting and, kids and things like that. So, a little bit about me. I mean, I'm not an only child, but it was kind of, my sisters were older than me. I think my youngest sister was 15 or 16 years older than me. So it was almost like I was a only child, but I did have siblings, and my nephews and nieces were like brothers and sisters to me because they were about the same age. I was an uncle at, well, I think I even have a niece on my dad's side that is older than me,
you.
which is weird. I was Uncle Rube at a very young age. And it was always weird, growing up in Louisville. When we moved there from California, I moved with my nephew. And, he was in, I think, kindergarten. I was in second grade. And he was crying and he didn't want to be there. And he was yelling for his mom. And then when that didn't work, he's like, I want my uncle. I want my uncle. And they're like, why does this kid want his uncle? And he explained to them that I was, just a few doors down in second grade. I would have to come down there and comfort him and tell him it'd be okay. And so that's kind of a funny thing. But I think it's important to, I didn't really know what that meant. I just knew that I wanted to have a large family, and I've always been, go against the grain, and whenever I'd mentioned that as a young kid, they'd always look at me like, you're just weird. Like, why would you want that? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm just happy that I found somebody like you that, allowed me to have as many kids as we had. And, 5 is good.
5 is where we ended.
That's right.
It's the perfect number.
Yeah. So
speaking of not knowing what we were doing, sometimes I like to think back to the day that we found out we were pregnant with Aurora. Aurora is our oldest, who is 27. Oh my God.
Yeah.
27.
Approaching 30.
So do you want to tell your side, or do you want me to go first? Because we weren't together when we found out.
No, you can go first, because I think that's kind of what kicked it off.
Yeah. So I was just at home and had not been feeling well, and was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I'm 19. I'm scared to death. I don't know if I want to take this test or not, but I'm going to. And I took it, and sure enough, it was positive, and I immediately called you, and I think that you were working one of your 6 jobs that you had at the time, because that's how we rolled. You just literally had 6 jobs at the time. And I was just crying and crying and crying, and I remember you like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And I just said, we're pregnant. And I was waiting for you to kind of pause or freak out. And you just said, we're fine. It's fine. We're going to be fine. And I wasn't crying because I was sad. Mostly I was scared to death, because I had no idea what it meant to be a mom or what lied ahead with me, which in retrospect was probably a good thing, because had I known, I might have been upset.
Right.
Because it is hard. I knew I was happy and so excited, but scared to death. And so I think that's why I was crying.
I remember that phone call. I remember the exact same spot of where I was driving that day. And whenever I go by that spot, I remember this conversation.
Where were you?
I was on Foothills Parkway in Boulder, getting ready to get on Highway 36. And just before it turned into Highway 36, that's the spot, like right at the curve. Mm-hmm. And remember getting that phone call, and that was certainly a life-changing thing. But I don't think I had any panic in my voice.
You didn't.
And I think that was from growing up with my nephews and my niece, and being around kids, and taking care of them. That it didn't frighten me. So it's interesting. Speaking of the 6 jobs or whatever I had, what were they? There was like, okay, I was painting so this was like before I got into real estate. Like, I was in school.
You had just started real estate.
Yeah.
Like, you literally had just gotten your license, so total newbie. And then you were still also, you were delivering pizza.
There's one.
You were doing apartment painting for rental, flip.
Oh, some of the
you were doing turn
yes,
painting
for the student housing. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you were doing that. You were delivering newspapers.
in the mornings. So, yep.
You were process serving, serving people subpoenas. And then you had real estate. And I think you were still doing a shift here and there at the Blue Parrot.
Crazy.
And what's funny to me is that you were doing that and we didn't even have kids yet. Like, you just knew we needed to prepare for whatever life was coming. And so you just did that.
Yeah.
You didn't have to, but you
just
did.
had to make money.
It never stopped.
Still there.
Never stopped. So speaking of us not knowing what we were doing, I think that was the initial, holy crap. I don't know what this looks like. I don't know what I'm doing. Funny though, all of a sudden it just kind of comes to you. When the initial shock wears off, at least for me, like as a mother, all of a sudden your brain starts working differently. You start thinking about things differently. There are different consequences that you consider almost immediately. And so that was something that I wasn't expecting. I thought I was just going to be a little uncomfortable for 9 months, and then we have this baby, and then we both freak out. We're like, what are we doing bringing this human home? But it started almost instantaneously. When I saw those 2 lines, everything like in my being changed. And I wasn't expecting that. And maybe that's why I was crying, because it was like, it happens in a snap. You see that positive and it changed my entire world forever. That was overwhelming, but in retrospect, in a really good way. And so I think what I thought about being a parent turned out to be nothing like what I thought it would be.
Let me ask you something I've never asked you before.
Ooh.
When you saw those 2 lines and you're making the phone call to me, was there ever a doubt that I would leave?
No. Since the day you asked me to date you, it's never once entered my mind that you would leave. Ever.
Interesting. I just thought of that question because when you were describing it, I was like, wonder if you ever thought I'd just kind of take off and split.
That thought never entered my mind. It was immediately like, what are we going to do? And I think we talked about that a little bit, about the blessing of us being such great friends for so long beforehand, before we started dating and before we got married. Like, we just knew each other like better than we knew ourselves. And so I just knew that, I knew you weren't going to be scared. I knew you weren't going to freak out. I knew you weren't going to leave. Nothing like that. It was just a, what are we going to do? Freak out.
Okay. So what
did you think? Like, what were your thoughts? I know you weren't panicked or anything, but what were your thoughts?
I mean, I kind of had an oh crap moment. Like, oh wow, this is life changing. This is different. Our life is different now. I had no idea of the stress. Thinking about making sure, Aurora's going to be healthy, no complications. Everything seemed cool until, delivery.
Until we had some complications.
Until we had some complications. But, I felt like I was just built like this.
It's just sort of an interesting blessing with your first child, because you don't know what you don't know. So I didn't freak out about things that every kid after I freaked out about. I did some things that were probably like, probably won't do that again. Like, I gained 50 pounds with Aurora. Like, I was like, who is this person? It was an interesting time to be me. 50 pounds. So that in and of itself was very hard for me. It caused some issues physically for me, because that's just a lot of weight for anybody to put on. And I had no idea, I'm just 19, 20 years old. I had no idea what healthy amount of weight gain. I'm like, oh, well, if I'm gaining weight, I must be healthy and the baby's fine. And it's not that I wasn't healthy. It was just super uncomfortable for me.
But you were like 90 pounds.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
To gain 50,
it was a lot. It was a lot. I mean, thank goodness I wasn't, bedridden or anything like that. And I didn't have a ton of issues until delivery. And I think with Aurora, I was in labor for 36 hours. And a lot of that probably, again, not knowing, like she was over a week late, and I was so exhausted and so tired of being pregnant. So we did the thing. We did the walking. We did the baths. We did the spicy food. We did all of those things that kind of put you into labor. And maybe in retrospect, like my body wasn't quite ready. So that's why my labor was so long and my delivery was so hard. But yeah, I was in labor for 36 hours with Aurora. Had to push a couple hours, I think, with her.
seemed like forever.
Well, I'm just glad that you made it, because you were like, oh, it's been this long. Nothing's happening soon. So you left to go get a burrito.
Well, I mean,
I literally am 10 centimeters dilated and you're not in the building. And so everybody's calling you. My mom's calling, trying to figure out where you were. You walk in and you come up to me. I'm getting ready to push, and you come up to me and I throw up because you smelled like chips.
Those ding chips get you every time.
So that was fun. Here I am, like throwing up, trying to push a baby out, all the things, right? So thankfully, she came out and she was the most perfect thing that I've ever seen in my life. And again, just like seeing those two lines, holding her, again, like your whole life just changes. And so there was that piece, but also I was so exhausted from being in labor for so long. And then I had lost a ton of blood. So we were on the line of, do you need a transfusion? Do you not? I looked like I had been in a 12-round boxing match. I was so swollen and everything was just, it was not a fun time. But interestingly enough, I think that when God puts you through a very hard situation, he also gives you such a beautiful blessing. And so I don't necessarily remember all of the awfulness that came in the 2 or 3, because I had to stay in the hospital for 3 days instead of just like 1, because I had some pretty serious issues. But Aurora was such a good baby, like such a good baby. She slept immediately. She didn't cry. She ate great. Like, she was amazing. And so for me, I was just like, all right, I'll take this all on as long as my baby's like perfect. And she was. So
we certainly got duped on the second one.
We did get duped, because then we were like, okay, Aurora's great. She sleeps. She didn't have any teething problem, no ear infections. Like, she literally was like the dream baby. She really was. Like, she even learned to walk too early. I think she was 10 months and she started walking. She wasn't ready to start walking. She broke her leg, because that's just Aurora. She's always just been, I'm going to go do, and not think about maybe if she should sometimes, but that's just Aurora. She has that spirit. So she was so awesome. So we're like, yeah, let's do another one. How hard can it be? So then I think Aurora was, let's see, they're 16. So Aurora was 8 months when we found out we were pregnant with Trinity. And again, that's what we wanted, right? Siblings. And I loved that. I was excited that they were going to be so close in age, and, they'd have each other forever. And so, and Trinity's pregnancy honestly was pretty easy. Like, I didn't gain a whole lot of weight. I think it's just because my body still hadn't quite come back from Aurora. So I was like, okay, this is great. This is going to be great. And then toward the end, again, not a rough delivery, but a scary delivery, because I did end up with Trinity came a week early, and I did end up with preeclampsia. So that was scary for me, and that we didn't realize. And so all of a sudden they came in and turned off all the lights and told everybody to be quiet, and I couldn't watch the TV. Like I guess they don't want any kind of shock to like your system, or like any kind of jumping or whatever, for whatever reason. At least back then, that's how it was. And so that was a little scary, but it was interesting because I was only in labor for 8 hours, maybe.
It was fast. I remember them coming in and just like your initial check was like, don't
cough.
Don't cough. Mm-hmm. She's here. So
yeah. So maybe 8 hours with Trinity, and I pushed maybe 2-3 times, and she was here. And that's kind of how Trinity's been. She's just that quiet, on my time, no big deal kind of spirit. And she was so sweet in the hospital.
I remember because I'm sort of light skinned, right? And and you're dark skinned. And she came out, and she had I changed her the first time, mm-hmm. and I saw she was laying on her stomach, and I saw her butt, and it had this blue spot on it, and I'm
mm-hmm.
like, who the heck bruised my baby?
You were upset.
Yeah, I'm like, what the heck is this? And they're like, oh no, that's Mongolian spot or something like that, mm-hmm. and it just meant that she was going to be dark skinned. Yep. So her and Buddy had that.
Yep.
So
they did.
Yeah, it wasn't a bruise. It went away. At least I haven't checked lately. But
yeah.
Sorry.
Please don't.
Okay.
So we brought her home. Well, no, back up a little bit. I only had to stay I was only needed to stay in the hospital for like a day and a half or whatever, because Trinity was born really late at night, and she was great too. And I remember the first thing I thought was, when I found out I was pregnant with Trinity, I cried, not because of any of the reasons I had cried before. I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to love another person as much as I loved Aurora. Because you love your child. Like, that level of love is just different. And I thought, there's no way. Like, either Aurora's going to be left out, or Trinity's not going to feel equally loved, or whatever. And so in my mind, I was freaking out, like, how am I going to love them both? And it grows.
And I was crying because Trinity was a girl and not a boy. But no, because
you were hoping for a boy. Yes, I know.
Yeah. But I have 6 half sisters, and I knew odds were against me.
Odds were against you, for sure.
So
I remember I was so worried about Aurora meeting Trinity, and by the time Trinity was born, Aurora was, I don't know, like almost a year and a half. And so Aurora didn't know anything, right? She was just a baby. But in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be awful. She's going to hate her, and they're not going to. And so sure enough, they bring Aurora to meet Trinity, and she looks at her, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, this is going to be so precious. And Aurora looks at her, and she kind of looks around, and then she looks back at her, and she says, Kaka. And I started crying. I was like, oh my gosh, she hates her. And obviously, they got over that. But I remember being so traumatized in the hospital because I thought Aurora hated her sister because she called her Kaka. So that was their first meeting. So girls, you're welcome for that. And yeah, Trinity, for the most part, Trinity was a good kid. She just ended up having a lot of ear issues. And unbeknownst to us, again, you don't know what you don't know. And because Aurora was this like model baby, we never had to deal with like ear infections and teething and all this other stuff. And so she was also very colicky. And so you can ask any of our family members who were brave enough to help us with Trinity. It was not an easy go for 2 years. Trinity cried for almost 2 years. And for people who have colicky babies, I think they will only understand if you've never had a colicky baby. You don't quite grasp the level of crying. It's not fussiness, and it's not, oh, they're hungry. It's a constant cry 24 hours a day.
It's a 10.
It's a 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's nothing you can do to help it. You know, we put her on formula. We tried different formulas. For whatever reason, she was just a colicky baby. And sometimes babies are just colicky. There's nothing you can do about it. I remember that being, up until that point, the biggest challenge of my life, because there are times, like, I can talk about this honestly now, but at the time I would have never said it out loud. But there were times, like you said, it's a 10, and I was a stay-at-home mom. And dealing with that on your own, day in and day out, will break anybody. And so there were times where I literally had to put her in her bed, close the door, go outside into the backyard, and close the backyard just to not hear the crying. And then every time I did that, I started crying because I felt like I was the worst mother ever, because I couldn't, number one, give my baby what she needed to help her stop crying. And number two, I couldn't handle it. Like, that period made me feel kind of like a failure, because again, I was young and didn't know, like, it's okay. But I truly was like, I don't know how I'm going to make it through this.
Yeah, I remember some of those phone calls. And sometimes we'd have to tag team it, right? If it was at night, definitely I'd try to take the night shift. But even that was a lot. And I feel like I had pretty good patience.
You do.
But even those times would break me. And
I mean, there were times all three of us were crying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like me, you, and her.
Yeah.
We're just bawling. And sometimes I felt bad for Aurora, because we were like just trying to make it through. But Aurora's always been so resilient, and just this sunshiny spirit that she was still just running around doing her thing. Like, it didn't upset her. It's not like when Trinity cried, Aurora cried. She was just kind of like, oh, baby's crying. And but that was a very difficult time. So we finally got to a point where we figured out, okay, not only is this just colic, but she also has some major ear issues. And so she probably got, I think, 8 ear infections by the time she was like a year and a half. So we finally got her into a specialist, and they were like, yeah, she needs tubes in her ears and she needs to get her adenoids removed, which scared the crap out of me again.
Oh, that was an experience.
Yeah. So that was our only option. She could no longer be miserable. It was getting to the point where she would get it, like, she got one ear infection. It was so bad that her eardrum actually burst, and there was like stuff coming out of her ear. And at that point, we're like, no, this can't continue. What do we need to do? And so I'm sure there's plenty of parents out there who have had their kids have had to have a procedure and they've had to be put under. But when it's the very first time, I can't explain, like, the fear, the fear and angst of that whole process. But so she had to go into surgery when she was 2 and get the tubes in her ears and get her adenoids taken out. And
I remember you couldn't go in there.
No.
Yeah.
They were like, someone needs to come back while we put her under. And I'm like, that's all you, because there's no way I'm going to watch, them put my baby under.
Yeah.
So you had to go. And she was not happy when she came out.
Well, I'll tell you,
surgery.
Going into that room, I had no idea what to expect. I don't even think I had been under myself. I had no surgery experience, no procedures done. And I went back there and I was like, I was tough, right?
Yeah, like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. So they lay her down, and then they put the mask on her. Whew.
Oh.
And she closes her eyes.
That's exactly exactly why I couldn't do it.
Yeah. And I still remember it crystal clear. And you just pray to God that everything goes well, and she comes out, and she came out of it. Let me tell you.
She did. I remember we were sitting there, and every minute feels like an hour, and every hour feels like a day. And they come out, and not like okay, we're done. No, it was like a nurse came out and is like, you have to come back here.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? They're like, she's fine, but there are 3 nurses trying to hold her down right now, and they can't hold her down because she woke up and she was trying to rip out her IV.
Was she like 2 years old?
She was like 2.
Yeah.
And the nurses couldn't even like get her under control. And so I remember we ran back there, and I, of course, was freaking out because that's what I did. And you just kind of grabbed her and you held her. And I don't know what you did, but she finally calmed down. She didn't rip out her IV. They got it. You got her calmed down enough for them to be able to like really put something over it and wrap it, and because she's a grabber. So they got that handled, and they gave her a popsicle and told her not to eat anything crazy, and she was crying because she wanted tortilla chips. And you know what? Gosh darn it. I let her eat the tortilla chips, and she was fine. So after that,
and we're like 20 years old.
21.
2021. I mean, we had no business going through that experience. I mean, and that's a very kind of simple procedure to,
in retrospect, like not that big of a
Not-
deal, but
no.
I feel like it's the same either way, like whether your child is getting their teeth pulled and have to go under, or if they're getting a major open heart surgery, the steps are the same and the fear is the same. So I think just anytime you have to see your child and you don't have like control over that, it's very hard.
Yeah. My heart breaks too, Ari, our youngest one, just came back from children's, and you go there and it's just heartbreaking to see what some of those families go through. I just can't take I
remember we were at children's for almost 5 hours, and she had a broken arm, but I remember sitting in that waiting room and I just kept telling them, no, take that kid, take that kid. Like, my kid has a broken arm. Yeah, we're tired. Yeah, it hurts, but that kid needs to be seen way more than mine. And it's always very humbling when we tell these stories, even though they were impactful for us, and this is the biggest impact we've had to deal with. It's incredibly humbling to think that these are the only kinds of stories that we have to tell. So anyway, Trinity, she proved very early that she was you in female form. And that was interesting. But I think some of my best memories were just seeing her and Aurora when they were little and the things that they did. And Aurora's always been way older than her age. And she is always, they're 16 months apart, but Aurora has always thought she was Trinity's like mommy, always took care of her.
Yeah.
Like, they're both learning how to walk, but Aurora is like the mom, So that.
Although she did regress when Trinity came, because she was like almost potty trained.
Yeah.
Right? And then she wanted the
it took
diaper
like another
back on.
2 years to re-potty train her. So there was some regression there. So Aurora wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
But getting to see them together and the things that they got into, the things that they did, that was a really cool time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, we have the 2 kids, and we have 2 girls. And I think we both really wanted a son. It was, for you, obviously, men want sons and the father-son connection. For me, I loved so much about what we were building and the family that we were building, and I really wanted to have that name carried on. I became very proud to have changed my name and to have it be Estrada. That means everything to me, and so I thought you know, it would be really cool to be able to have that continue. And so after Trinity, we find out we're pregnant again. I can't remember how old Trinity was. Maybe
Well, she's 20.
She's 25. She'll be 26. And Buddy's 22. So she was maybe 18 months old when we found out we were pregnant again. And that one knocked me down, because we unfortunately had miscarriage, and I think I had stopped having those kind of thoughts because the girls had been so great and for all intents and purposes easy. And so I just thought, hey, maybe I'm one of those people who are just blessed, right? That don't have to go through those things. So I think I went in for I think it was 12-week appointment. You couldn't go because you were probably working one of your 6 jobs at the time. And because everything had gone so great with the girls, we just didn't. It was just another appointment.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately, I was by myself when.
What a time to pick not to go. Right.
That's another thing. You just don't know. And you don't want to think about things going wrong, but you just don't know. A regular old appointment can turn into something else. And I just remember the doctor just confirming. I just kind of zoned out, right? Like, I knew what was happening, and the doctor confirmed what was happening. And I just, at the time, it just felt weird to me. I was like, you just have to go home. They're just like, you just go home.
Like, you're pregnant one day and you're not the next.
Right.
And it's not because you delivered.
Right.
Right.
And I remember I just went to the car and immediately called you, because that's what I do. And I couldn't talk. And again, you're just like, it's okay. We're going to be okay. But I remember that's the first time, and probably the only time, that you weren't able to help.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that was hard for you too. It was just a space, like, you didn't know what to do to help me, and I didn't know what I needed. So that was a really tough time.
Mm-hmm.
So we made it through that. And I think it was a blessing to have the girls, because when you have little ones, you don't get the time to, be super sad for a long time, or, you kind of pick yourself up.
Life goes on.
Life goes on, and you pick yourself up, and you give thanks that obviously something was not right. And so that's how I made peace with it. Because when you're in that space and that happens to you, I think a lot of women play what did I do? Like, was it the glass of wine I had when I didn't know? Or was it the exercises I did? Or it's very easy to try to blame yourself for that. And I hate that that's where women's minds go. But it just is. Because as a mom, you feel like you are the sole caretaker and you are responsible for this life. And so when that doesn't come to fruition, it's very easy to feel like it's something that you did. But sometimes it just happens. And there was a reason. We found out later why that happened. But it doesn't change the fact that you spend quite a bit of time thinking, if I just would have done this, or if I would have done that. But then for me, like, your faith just kicks in, and you have to trust that there are bigger plans than ours. And that just...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we get through that.
And we find out what's wrong. It just so happened that I had developed hypothyroidism, which I was unaware. And my thyroid was a wreck. And because of that, my system was just not a viable place for that pregnancy to make it to the finish line. So I got on track, got on some medicine, got my thyroid right. And as soon as my thyroid was right, guess what? We got our little rainbow baby. And that was pretty emotional as well, coming from where we were to finding out we're pregnant, and then finding out everything's okay, and then finding out it's a boy. It's never the same experience. Like, every experience all 5 times has been so unique and so special and so life-changing. And I think that's been so surprising for me as a parent. Because when you talk about having kids and multiple kids, everybody just makes it sound like, oh, you just do it, and there's another one, but every experience has been so amazing and special. And so for Nathaniel, I remember there was just another level of excitement for all 4 of us. Like, the girls were so excited that there was going to be a brother, because they were already sick of each other as sisters. And our entire family was so excited for a little boy to be coming, because there's a lot of girls in our family all around.
There's a lot of girls.
There's not a lot of boys.
Yeah.
And so we were super excited. And I remember finding out that my cousin/sister, Andrea, was pregnant as well at the very same time. And she was having a boy. And that made me super excited, because I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to be
pregnant together.
We're pregnant together.
And
the boys are going to, like, it was just a really exciting time. And Nathaniel was super easy. Again, until delivery. And I remember it was weird, because Nathaniel was born in April, and it was snowing that day. And I remember waking up, because I was supposed to have a doctor's, like, my 39-week check or whatever, because 36 weeks to 40 you go every week. And so it was my weekly check. And I woke up that morning, and I was putting on my makeup, and I told you, I'm like, I'm gonna have a baby today. And you were like, oh, okay. And sure enough, we went in, and I was already dilated, I don't know, to like 4 or something. And they're like, so you were scrambling to, like, get the girls, I think, to your mom's or something like that. I was scrambling to get to call my mom, because she was in Ireland. I think she literally came from the airport to the hospital, I think, when Nathaniel was born, or something very close to that. And what was so special about Nathaniel's birth was that my grandma was able to be there. And Nathaniel is the only baby my grandma ever witnessed being born. She has a lot of grandchildren and several great-grandchildren, but she never got to see any of them be born. And so that was pretty cool. I still remember looking over. She didn't look at anything. She just stared out the window the entire time, like praying, but she was there, and she loved that. So that was really special to me. And but Nathaniel's delivery was awful. It's the worst one I had. So I got an epidural, but it didn't work. Or no, I got an epidural, but it wore off right at 10 centimeters. So
yikes. His
birth was completely natural. And it was the only time in my life that I was literally climbing up somewhere to try to get out of my own body. Women who give birth naturally with no I have the utmost respect for them, because I don't know how they do that. And I think to each their own. It's every woman's experience, and they decide what's best for them and their experience. But thinking of having multiple babies all natural, like that's a different kind of warrior in a mom.
Yeah,
for sure. Not to say that I'm less of a mom, but I just have a tremendous amount of respect for people who can tolerate that amount of pain, because it's like no pain you will ever experience in your life.
Yeah, I'll never experience that.
No, you won't. But, you know, Nathaniel, oh, how'd you explain Nathaniel? We tease him. Nathaniel was always pouty. Most pictures of Nathaniel when he was little, he's pouting. And I think that came from having two very overbearing older sisters. They told him what to do, when to do it, answered questions for him. I remember there was a time where we were like, is Nathaniel ever going to talk? But he didn't have to, because his sisters always talked for him.
Oh, he just make a sound and point.
Yeah.
And it's like they go get it for him.
Yeah.
It's like he had two remote controls.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was always nice to see the three of them in the house, you know, their dynamic and their love-hate relationship. And they all took care of each other. And, you know, they never had like really big fights.
No, none of our kids
Not
have
that
ever
I
had
could
like,
remember.
Yeah, they've never had really huge fights. I know that there was a point in time where like Trinity and Aurora would be like, Nathaniel gets everything. Like, I remember when, I think it was his 3rd birthday, he got that little John Deere tractor thing. And the girls were so upset because they had never gotten but Nathaniel got one, and it's because he's a boy. And we had a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nathaniel, for all intents and purposes, super chill baby, super easy baby. Potty trained like in 2 days, never had a whole lot of issues until he got older. So
healthy.
I mean, knock on wood, all of our kids, with the exception of Trinity's little thing, have been extremely healthy. And I don't think I could ever give enough thanks for that. Like that is a true gift in life.
So we're at this point, we're 3 kids in. We're 25?
24. I'm 24. You're 25.
We're mid-20s. How are you feeling?
At the time.
That's when the real estate market crashed.
Yeah. At the time, so I was a stay-at-home mom. And so at the time, it was very hard. I think of all the things I've ever done in my life, being a stay-at-home mom has been the hardest. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for the women who are willing and able to be stay-at-home moms. It's the most important work that you can ever do in this world, in my opinion. And it's also the hardest job that you can ever do, in my opinion. So for me, when I look back, I almost feel bad saying this, but for me, it was just survive.
Just get through the day?
Get through the day. Make sure the kids are fed, cleaned. Like your day becomes Groundhog Day. I mean, I know there's memes and movies and stuff about it, or like they joke about it, but it literally is just one long, long day. And it felt very lonely, even though like you were obviously, like we've always split things and been partners in all things. It wasn't all my load, but obviously you were working, and you had just gotten kind of deep into real estate, and that's a whole other monster. Having a young family and being in real estate, it's definitely not for everybody. So that was challenging, because the times that you were able to usually help me, like if you had a normal job, you were not. So evenings and weekends were also taken up. And so it was just, I'm very outnumbered, 3-1. And I have 3 kids under 5.
Mm-hmm.
So it was about survival and making sure the kids had everything they needed. And I know I didn't do, there's so many things that I would have gone back and done better. But it's hard for me to wish for that, because I can see where they are now. And if I had changed any of that, I don't know that they would be who they are right now. So that's a dangerous game to play. And I think moms and probably dads play that a lot. I would have done this differently. I would have changed this. I could have been so much better. I don't know. I probably could have. But they got the best of me at that time. And that's all I could have given. Mm-hmm. Can't give what you don't have.
Yeah. Those were good times.
They were.
Yeah.
They were fun.
I remember birthday parties, and everything was a celebration.
Yeah, I will say that the kids had some pretty big birthday parties.
The interesting thing is they didn't know if we had $1 or $1 million.
Yeah.
We kept them pretty insulated.
Yeah. And we tell them stories now that they're adults about what things were really like at that time. And
Blows
I mean,
their
to
mind.
be fair, and to be fair, I mean, we're talking lifting up the seats in the car to find all the change and any money that has fallen in there so that we can get some formula. It's about making the hot dog look really cool on top of the mac and cheese so the kids are loving their dinner, not knowing that's all we had. So when you talk about that piece, the survival mode and who we are just as people, not as mom and dad during that time, but who we were as people at that time, it was hard, much harder than I could have ever thought it would be. Just financially, emotionally, we were still growing in our marriage and working through things that you work on early in your marriage, balancing family influence and in-law drama and all of those things. So yeah, it was a ride. It was a wild time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, our kids didn't know.
Yeah. I mean, you balance that, and I'm commission. And the real estate market crashes, and I remember those times. Those were...
Well, when the real estate market crashed, so did everything else. And so it wasn't like you could shift and like, I'm going to go get this job and replace. Like, it was just a bad time all around. And so you and I were at a crossroads, and it's like, what do we do? And we just decided you had to dig in and go all in real estate. And you've been very good always. It's the cliche of when one door closes, another one opens. You have always found 2 or 3 open doors when another one closed. And so we were very fortunate and very blessed at that time that you managed to cross paths with Tom, who taught you everything you know about the foreclosure business at the perfect time. But we also knew that level and that business was going to need some support. And so we had to make the very hard decision for both of us to work at that time. Mm-hmm. That was very, very hard for me.
It was hard for me too, in that I always dreamed that we could live off of my income. And, you know, I was sort of old fashioned in that, you know, you stay home, take care of the kids, I go to work. And, but that was almost impossible back then. I mean,
yeah, we didn't have a choice. And so that was very, very hard for me. And again, we were so blessed and so lucky to actually have a very, very close friend of ours who we had known for a really long time. She was just starting to toy with starting her own like at-home daycare, and she didn't even have like any kids yet. And she lived super close, and she was like, whatever you need, you know, I can help. And I thought, okay, the only way I'm going to be able to leave my babies is to leave them with somebody that I know, trust, close, all the things. And so, Shauna, if you ever watch this, like, we are so incredibly grateful for her.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we had to make that hard choice they had to go to Shauna's a few days a week. And I mean, during those times, because the real estate market was crashing, meant the foreclosures were insane. And so I think we were probably getting 100 properties to manage a month. And so that did require all hands on deck. And we basically helped Tom build this REO business that got us through for a really long time. And if I'm being honest, has brought us to where we are now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember we had just sold our house because we couldn't make the payments
because we had
anymore.
to.
Yeah.
That was fun.
We had to go rent, and I was looking. And I remember your cousin Ray called.
Mm-hmm.
And he,
what is with
Ray,
us today?
if you watch this one, it's for you, buddy. He called. He's like, "Hey, I just got this job. You know, I'm working with Tom. We're selling foreclosures. Do you want to come work here?" Basically.
Yeah.
And went over there, talked to Tom. Started as just answering sign calls, you know, landing buyers and sellers, and it was just kind of survival. But they had so many signs out. I mean, they had hundreds of foreclosures. So it was like, dang, this is pretty easy. So then just started helping people buy houses, buying foreclosures. I mean, I still have relationships from that today.
You do.
And built up a business, and then eventually helped Tom exit, took over, and then, I mean, that's history.
What's so funny to me about that time is I was so upset, and it was so hard for me to think the kids are going to be in daycare and what's going to happen. And when you talk to them now, those are some of their favorite times. Like Mercury Alliance days, our kids talk about all the time. Like that period in time, they remember so vividly. And so now I can give myself a little bit of slack in that, okay, I didn't scar them for life. They were fine. But yeah, those were crazy times. And and you built a really large business. And so that required a lot of travel, and just, I mean, you were gone a lot, and you had a team of, 15 people, and it was a lot at the time. So that was difficult. That balance was very difficult in trying to build something like that and also build your family at the same time. We did the best we could. I think that there's some mistakes that we made during that time that I think we've given each other, or given ourselves, the grace to acknowledge.
What do you think is one of those mistakes?
I think one of the mistakes was allotting so much time to the business. There were times when it really interfered. Like there were times we got away from like eating dinner at the table. We were eating dinner in the car and things like that. I think just the juggling at times was probably a little unstable for the kids. And so I think that was a mistake on our part. Sometimes I feel like it was a mistake that we didn't involve them more in just understanding why this was happening and what this meant. And, we have very different conversations with Olivia and Ariana than we did with the first three. And I think that's why we have those conversations with Olivia and Ariana, because I feel like we did make some mistakes about just making those decisions, not to say that they had a say in them, but explaining them better so they understood.
Kind of damn the cost.
Yeah. We're doing this for you, so just shut up and get in the car.
Yeah.
Like that probably was not the right approach.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I think some of the habits I developed during that time were just bad. Just not having boundaries. And when you're in the corporate side of real estate, your clients, they say jump and you say how high, and you just eat, what, because that means, they pull that account. It's hundreds of properties. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then when you got 15 people on your team, you got a lot of mouths to feed. They have mortgages, they have families. So a lot of responsibility. So I had that family and I have my family. And
that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Like it was another family. And so trying to blend those in a way that worked for everybody. I don't know that we did that.
Yeah.
But again, you can only do what you can do. Hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah.
But there was food on the table. We were able to buy this house that I am never ever leaving.
Which is a foreclosure, by the way.
Which was a foreclosure. It was one of our clients. So it brought so many blessings and amazing people into our lives. People that are kids, like Tom is like another grandpa to them. Dominic was like an uncle, like all these people who have come into our lives. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges of raising a family is you think that you have to leave you have to lose yourself in order to be committed and build this family. And I think for a while for a long time, we didn't have enough appreciation for all the things that were happening in our family and outside of our family. Because in those times, some of the very best people we've ever met in our lives came into our lives. And I'm forever grateful for that. So yeah, I can talk about the mistakes and things that we may or may have not done, but it changed our lives forever for the better. And so I can't be upset about that.
And now you fast forward to, Olivia and Ari, and they get a different set of parents.
I saw this guy on a podcast. I don't know if it was Jay Shetty. Might have been Mel Robbins. He talks about that. He says every one of your kids has a different parent. Because Aurora got the only child, young, don't know what we're doing parent. Trinity got the parent of two. We kind of know what we're doing, a little bit more knowledgeable. She got that version, right? Nathaniel got we got this down. We've had two. It's been a while. We know what we're doing. We were sort of moving toward a better financial spot slowly, but we were moving. Unfortunately, those three kids didn't get any of the financial benefit of that
but I
time.
don't think they went
They
without.
didn't know.
I mean, they
No.
had vacations and they I mean, toys and all the material things that you get.
We knew.
I mean, yeah.
We knew. They didn't.
Yeah. And if that's wrong, then tell us, kids. But our version's correct.
But the point is, he got the version of like, oh, you guys kind of know, and you got this down, and all that. We don't even leave the house with a diaper bag anymore. It's just a diaper in my purse, and we're on our way, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're mature parents. Like,
we were a little
veterans.
more. Yeah, we were a little more mature. And then a long time passed between Buddy and Olivia, and then Olivia and Ariana. So we had a long time to quote unquote get our crap together, and
we were cruising.
I
feel like we were cruising. Like,
I don't know if feel bad is the right way to say it, but I do acknowledge that Olivia and Ariana are getting completely different versions of us as parents than the first three. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. It's just completely different. It's just I know sometimes our older kids will tease us about it. They get away with everything and they got this and we never had that and we never had that. And so I get that piece and I'll ingest. I get that. But yeah, Olivia had a very different set of parents. And Ariana definitely has a different set of parents. So yeah, they all had different parents.
Yeah, when I think back at like my mom, like my sisters had a different version of my mom than I had. And then being a son, that's even different, right? So I don't think I appreciated that.
I'll ask you a deep question. Do you feel like it's been more difficult for you to learn or become the father you want to be because you didn't have yours?
Probably is probably the answer. Probably. I mean, without one, you don't have a model. So you have a vision of what you think a good dad would be. But that vision probably isn't the right one, right? So you just make mistakes and you just keep going. And then wonder, like, dang, if I would have had a father in my life, would my fathering be different? But I'll never know.
I think you figured it out.
Maybe. We'll see. What do you think makes good parents?
I don't know. I think it's unique to everybody. I mean, from a spiritual standpoint, which is what we always measure everything from, it's did I help my kids get to heaven? But I won't know. So I can't measure with that. So
Which I think is a kind of a blessing in that if you don't know, then you have to keep working at it.
Yeah, there's a reason for everything, right? I think as cheesy as it sounds and as broad as it sounds, my measure has just always been, are they good people? Are they kind to others? Do they include others? Do they have manners? Are they respectful? Anytime someone has told me, you have a great kid, that's it for me.
That's a huge compliment.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I'm always proud of that. Like, the kids have gotten so many accolades and awards and great grades and so many accomplishments, and I'm so proud of them for that. But just anytime someone says what a great person one of our kids is, that's all I need. So that's my measure.
Yeah, I think me too. I mean, that's it.
Like, there are things that I would love for them, and like I said, there's things they've accomplished that are amazing, and so I don't discount that at all. What that shows me is I've also raised children who push themselves, who want to be better, who want bigger, who want better, whatever that might be. It doesn't have to be financial. Whatever bigger and better is for them and pushes them to do something more for whatever reason, that's a win.
One thing I just thought about that is sort of kind of critical for me is our unit. When we know that our unit's off, then we know we're not doing something right. Mm-hmm. But when our unit's together and we're jiving, those are some of the best times.
Yeah.
And I think one of the measurements for me is, will they take my call?
what's funny to me is you don't call very often.
So it's an emergency. Yeah.
No, and oftentimes when you do call them, it's not an emergency. But they know, like, Dad's calling, I got to answer. So there are very few times that you call and they don't answer.
It's true.
So there's that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they'll call right back, which is
Or they
nice.
call right back, or FaceTime you, or whatever. But I think what's interesting is, I tell you this all the time, and this is for all 5 kids, not just the 3 older ones, but all 5 of them. At the end of the day, when something big happens or something's going on, if you and I are in a crowd, they will always look at you first. And that is amazing to me because you truly you are their safe place. Not that I'm not, but it's like, Dad's like, you're their rock. I think a lot of that is because they're just like, well, Mom will tell us anything because Mom loves us. You know, like, Mom just loves us. She'll just say whatever. And some of that's true. I'm the cheerleader, rah-rah. But when they need some real hard, like, tell me, Dad, they'll go to you for that.
That's not always fun.
No.
That's
a very hard place for you to be in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of the things I don't tell you enough. I know we were talking about, like, what are some things that you maybe admire about the other that we don't tell each other often enough or have never told each other? That is one of the things that I admire the most about you, is your ability to just be that rock for all of our kids. I don't know how you do it, but you do. And I just admire that about you.
Thank you. I pray a lot. That's how I do it.
You do pray a lot.
Yep.
You have to. So anyway, back to
how
our
do we
timeline.
get off?
I don't know. Back to our timeline.
It's deep.
So this is when our parenting journey gets very interesting because after Nathaniel, I develop a whole other set of health issues, and we're like, what's going on? Doctor after doctor, all the things. Finally see a doctor who's like, you're done. Like, you're just not. You have some issues going on. We probably need to, you probably need a hysterectomy. We've tried all the things. You need to be done. I wasn't quite ready to make that decision.
Well, how many years had it been since Nathaniel?
Well, so we had we had Aurora, Trinity, Nathaniel pretty quickly, and then just nothing. So I was like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. And see, Nathaniel's 22 and Olivia's 14. So 8 years went by. So that's when we were like, okay, something's going on here. And so we figured out there was a problem, and they were like, you're done. And so we just took some time to, like, process. Okay, this is the end of the journey. We have 3 amazing, healthy kids. I'm okay. Like, it's okay. And then I love telling these stories of Aurora, or of Olivia and Ariana, because they give me chills every time. They give other people chills every time. So we had made peace with that. And unfortunately, at that time, my grandma had gotten very, very sick. And for those of you who don't know, I was very close with my grandma. And so we're just going through that hard time with her. And she passed away in April. It's so weird. She passed away on Holy Saturday, I remember, because I was leaving her that night to go to midnight mass for Easter. And I leaned over and I'm like, hey, Grandma, I'm going to mass. I'll be back in the morning. She asked me to bring her some cookies and a beer. Told her, will do.
All the alcohol, all the time.
All the things. So I left, and she was gone the next morning. And I remember I was just so sad. So sad. And let's see, that happened in April. So Mother's Day came around, and it was the first Mother's Day without Grandma, and me and my mom were very just sad that day, and it was just a hard day. And I remember thinking, I don't feel very good, but it's probably just, it's been a busy week, and, you know, there's been a lot going on, and maybe I'm just still sad about my grandma. But for whatever reason, call it motherly intuition, whatever, I thought, I'm just going to take a test just to see. I was prepared for it to be negative because we've had 8 years of negative tests. So I truly thought it was just sadness or something. No, I took a pregnancy test and it was positive. And I thought, because I was having the issues I was having, I got scared. Like, is this going to be okay? I don't know. So they had me go in really quickly, like right away for my first appointment. And I remember we go in for my appointment, and they put the little Doppler on, and they hear a heartbeat. And I remember the nurse was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, is something wrong? She's like, I've never been able to pick up a heartbeat that strong at 6 weeks. And I had no idea. I was like, oh, I didn't. She's like, it's usually like 12, 13, 14. Like, it was a strong, loud heartbeat, not a little faint one. And so that's the first thing. I was like, oh, wow, yep, there's definitely baby in there. And so she finished everything. And then she's like, okay, well, your estimated due date is January 19th. And I remember I looked at you and you're like, what? And I just had goosebumps all over my body. And I'm like, January 19th is my grandma's birthday. And even the nurse was like, whoa, like, that's crazy. And so I remember thinking, so we have a little thing with Olivia that when my grandma went up, she sent her down. And so she's our little miracle grandma baby. So that's why her middle name's Rose. But she did not come on the 19th, by the way. She came on the 4th.
Early.
That's neither here nor there. So, yeah, we had Olivia. And then after Olivia, my health problems got even worse. So we were like, I couldn't take care of Olivia. It was to the point where I just couldn't give her a bath. I couldn't cook dinner. I'm like, I can't not be taking care of my baby. I have to figure this out, right? And so it took me a good 3 or 4 years to come to terms with, we're going to be done. I have to get this surgery. I can't go on like this anymore. And so we finally made that decision, sold everything. Like, I was even like, I don't even want the thought of it being like, we just need to get rid of it. I made this decision. We're done.
4 kids.
We're good. Like, yep, I have everything I need. I'm good. And so we scheduled my hysterectomy, and we went in, I believe it doesn't even matter when it was. We went in, and I had been feeling so awful for so long and I had, I don't know how many ultrasounds, pregnancy tests, like, it was the craziest thing. Just, there was nothing there. So I was like, okay, we're good. So the day of surgery, they have me all prepped, and they do the usual, like, pre-op blood work and pre-op urine test and all, make sure you don't have an infection. Make sure you don't have a connection. The lady came in, gave me my IV, put the little cap on me, put me on the bed, ready to go. And then the nurse came in, and she's like, nope, we can't do the surgery. And you and I were both like, what do you mean we can't do the surgery? And she's like, well, your blood work came back positive. And I remember you said, positive for what? Like, drugs? I don't know. Like, what did it come positive for? And she's like, you're pregnant. And we both looked at each other, and I was like, how can I not know this? Like, how did I not know this? I've been under a doctor's care for months now. Like, how did I not know this? And she's like, well, it's probably super, super early. Like maybe 5-6 weeks. We can't tell. So I'm going to bring the ultrasound machine in so you can see. And we're like, okay. So, for those of you who haven't seen an ultrasound before, like, when it's like 6 weeks or whatever, it's like a little teeny tiny peanut. Yeah. Like, you can't even tell what it is, right? Oh no. Put the ultrasound on. There's arms, legs, head. I was 14 weeks pregnant and had no idea.
So we went there thinking
we were done.
We were done not having kids. We have 4. We're cool. to leaving there with one.
Yeah. And I remember, I think, well, the crew that always comes when I need anything. It was my mom, Andrea, Carrie, Alicia, our girls, and you. And I remember everybody's like, well, what do we do now? Because you didn't have what do we do? So we're like, well, I guess we can go grab breakfast. So there was 12 of us at this breakfast, and nobody said a word because we were all like, what just happened?
I guess we got to plan a shower.
Yeah, because we had nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few months later, along came Ariana. And I think that
Another girl.
And I think that she is the perfect completion to our family. I think she is the absolute best of all of our kids. She's a trip. She's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm. And she's only 8, so we're still getting to know her.
Yeah, that's weird in and of itself. You talk about having your nieces and nephews and your uncle, you know, your nephew wanted you uncle down the hall. That's going to be Ariana. She's Savannah's aunt. And it's funny because Ari was in preschool when Savannah was born. And so after Savannah was born, Ariana went to school and is like, I'm an aunt. And they're like, no, you're not, kid. And I'm like, actually, she is. So yeah, she's already an aunt. She has 3 nieces.
Crazy.
So that's an interesting place to be. I don't know that we actually reflect much on the reality of that, but it's kind of crazy.
Well, we were supposed to read a bunch of these questions.
Yeah, some of them we went through. There's a couple on here which some people ask who's the fun parent and who's the not so fun parent. I think everybody who watches our podcast can figure out who the fun parent is. It's obviously you. It's not that I'm not fun. I'm just a little more serious about things.
Why don't you have more fun?
Well, one of us has to be serious.
Be the adult?
Yes, one of us has to be the adult. And it's so funny, people also ask us about discipline. And okay, let's talk a little bit about our dynamic and how we parent, right? Because I don't know what's normal. It's just the way we do it. But it's kind of morphed into, okay, there's a few steps that it's going to be mom's territory. Mom, especially because we have a lot of girls. So I'm usually the first,
you're 0 to 7.
Yeah, I'm usually the
0 to
first
7.
line, right? Okay, this is creeping up. Okay. Oh, all right. We're getting into some touchy area. We got to call in dad. And not in a way that it's don't make me call your dad. It's just kind of all right, I've taken it as far as I can.
I need reinforcement.
You try.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it works in our house. I don't know that that's right. I probably am a little too lenient at times.
You let things get out of hand?
Sometimes.
It's just because you don't have the energy, too.
Well, not only that, it's just sometimes I think that but in this instance, it's going to be okay. It's not going to go bad because this is... I got this.
This time's different.
I got this, right?
Yeah.
These are my kids, and we have an understanding. We're clear, right? But there's been multiple times where I've been we have an understanding, right? And our kids totally stab me in the back and mess up. So, yeah, I'm usually the first line. So then they know okay, if dad's been called in, we have a problem. I don't know how, does that make you feel bad?
No, I understand my role. I understand.
Are you the enforcer?
More like the disciplinary.
Not that I don't discipline.
I don't know if our kids would ever say, were you disciplined as a kid? Did you have a rough upbringing? I mean, were your parents mean? Did your dad hit you?
They always remember like the one instance. Like, I know this is so like taboo now, but yes, we spanked our kids.
Yeah.
I said it. We spanked our kids. When they deserved it, right? Or I don't even know if that's right. Like when a situation called for it, they got spanked. Sometimes you listen to their stories, it's like, Dad got a belt and I blah, blah, blah. And so there are different versions. Maybe that's how they saw it. I don't know. But I don't remember those times. Could be wrong. They just see their lives very differently than we do, as they should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think I ever got out of hand.
No.
But
No.
What else? Parenting. It's a lifelong deal. Now we got grandkids.
Yeah, grandkids. And I think one of the things that I appreciate the most, and what was a really big deal for me, and maybe that's why I'm so passionate about the work I do sometimes, is we've built a home. Our older kids have left, but it wasn't easy for them. You just said the other day, or maybe today, they always just come back. This is still their home. It will forever be our home, their home. And that's one of the things that I'm like, you know what? I feel like I got that right because it was so important to me. All I ever wanted from before we even got married, I told you, all I've ever wanted is to have a home that our kids like to be in, that they like to bring their friends to, and that they will always have to come home to. You know, growing up, you and I had very different stories in that aspect. My parents weren't homeowners, so we did rent. And I remember having a lot of different addresses. And in retrospect, sometimes it's cool to, drive around and be like, oh, I lived in that house, or, oh, I lived in that house. But there was a piece of me that just always wanted like a permanent address. And it's not a knock on my parents. Like at the time, it was the 80s. Like a lot of people were in that space. So I get that. But it's always been super important to me to have a home base for our kids. And so I'm really glad that you and I have been able to build a home that even our older kids, we've talked sometimes about like, hey, maybe we should sell the house. And they're like, don't you ever sell this house. This is still their home. Mm-hmm. And I love that.
Yeah, I'm super proud of that.
Yeah. And then there was one last question. If we could freeze one age or stage forever, which would it be and why?
Freeze one stage. There was a time when all of them were here.
Oh.
At once.
I think I hate that I didn't appreciate that enough. I was so excited about them growing and starting their lives. I didn't stop to like hold on and just grasp for the small amount of time that it was to have them all here. And I'm grateful, honestly. Sounds so silly. I'm super grateful for Snapchat right now because our older 3 kids have absolute gold.
Oh, yes.
In their Snapchat. They're sending them all the time of just the 5 of them being together. The 3 olders with the 2 littles and just that dynamic and the silliness and
all the videos they have. The videos of them just doing stupid stuff and like it pops up and it's like 10 years ago, 12 years ago or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, most of it makes me laugh, but some of it makes me sad. And, but to capture those moments, it's pretty special.
I would probably have to agree with you. Not that the stage we're at right now isn't amazing. Like, having grandkids that's a whole other episode. Because it's like, I feel like I was born all over again when those sweet girls were born.
More girls.
But yeah, those times when it was the Estrada 7 here, those were good times. Yeah. Really good times.
I think that's a good spot to end.
Yeah. Thank you for the memories.
Thank you.
See you next time.